My daughter excluded me from her wedding, so I quietly canceled the entire event I had funded. It's completely true that no one can hurt you more than your own kids. My situation is exactly the same. Ava, my 27-year-old daughter, prohibited me from attending her wedding. For the last week, I've been drinking and sulking. Her wedding, which I bankrolled, was set for yesterday. Yes, it was a wedding gift that I was covering. Ava was a difficult child. When she shared her wedding plans with me, I was relieved that she was finally tying the knot with someone she truly loved, since I had endured many nightmares while bringing her up. I pitched in because she and her fiancé were facing financial hardships and couldn't organize a proper wedding. What did I get in return? I was barred from attending. The heartbreak is indescribable. A couple of days ago, I phoned the wedding organizer and added my brother to the invite list. The guest list was complete, he said. To check if we could make adjustments, I asked him to email me the full guest roster. He mentioned that Ava had instructed him to keep the guest list confidential. I told him that as her father and the one footing the bill for the wedding, they had better comply with my directives. Though hesitant, he emailed me the list after I warned him I'd contact his supervisor. My spirits plummeted when I viewed it. Neither my wife nor I were on it. Since our names weren't there, I rang the wedding coordinator again and demanded there had to be a mistake. He explained that he had been specifically ordered not to include our names. I couldn't accept it until he forwarded the email thread between him and Ava. It got even worse. They were directed to block us from entering the venue. How crushing that must have been. I knew my daughter harbored resentment toward me, but I never imagined it would escalate to banning me from her wedding. She was at her bachelorette party that day, so when I desperately called her, her phone went straight to voicemail. She didn't return my call that day or the next, despite my plea for her to do so. On the third day, just before the wedding, I showed up at her apartment, where she and her fiancé lived. She claimed she was too occupied with wedding preparations to see me. She was dodging me because, by then, the wedding planner had tipped her off that I knew about the guest list. I went there to confront her, but her attitude only fueled my anger more. I told her I knew she had excluded me from the wedding. "Well, good for you," she replied. "It saved you the trip and hassle. If I get a chance, I'll send you the wedding pictures. I lost it completely." This was it, no explanation, no remorse, no apology. Her viciousness brought me to tears. With tears streaming down my face, I asked what I had done to deserve this. She said I had always wronged her, starting with slapping a stepmother across the face and then taking sides with others. Even when she was wrong, she demanded I defend her unconditionally. How could I defend her when she bullied my sister's daughter? When she was caught with pills in school, I did stand up for her and kept her from being expelled. I got her into college, but she chose to remain ungrateful despite all I did. She accused me of spreading negativity in her space when she saw me crying. I pointed out that I was the one paying for her wedding. She turned aggressive and insisted I owed her this and that I wasn't doing her any favors. I snapped and told her I owed her zilch. This wedding was a gift, and I had gone above and beyond. She said she had no time for my emotional outbursts and told me to leave. When I got home, I broke down sobbing in front of my wife, Mercy, who is Ava's stepmother. Mercy is a kind and forgiving woman, but she got furious for the first time seeing me cry. She told me to take action against Ava. "We have to stop Ava from thinking she can keep hurting us," she said. Until a year ago, when she finally landed a decent job, Ava had been living off my dime. She had zero savings for her wedding because of that. I'd reached my limit. I decided to teach her a lesson. I canceled every aspect of the wedding plans. I didn't mind getting barely any refunds from the deposits. I wanted to scrap the wedding organizer and the venue too, but I knew that would alert Ava, who might scramble alternative plans. I aimed to ruin her big day. I let her keep her dress since she already owned it. All of this left me feeling guilty, but after reflecting, I realized I'd done far more than enough for her. Why should I feel remorse for derailing her wedding if she didn't? When the wedding coordinator, caterers, and decorators arrived at the venue on the wedding day, they were refused entry. When the security showed them the cancellation notice, it caused total chaos. When the wedding planner called for the final payment, I told them I was done and they could deal with Ava about it. They said that when the venue guards blocked Ava, she argued with them. Her fiancé pulled her away just in time after she almost got arrested for trespassing. I had blocked her number when she tried calling me. I refused her entry at the front gate when she came to my house. I wanted peace, but I wasn't afraid of her. Talking was useless since, just like when I visited her place, her words would only hurt me more. She needed to own up to her behavior. She couldn't keep getting pardoned like when she was little. Ava only wanted her friends at her wedding, not family. I respected her choice. Luckily, she had to handle explaining the cancellation to her friends, so I didn't have to. My parents were the only ones unhappy with what I did. They said that no matter how badly our children treat us, we should never be cruel to them. I told them Ava brought this on herself. She had been cruel and selfish her whole life. No matter how much I justify my actions, the guilt lingers. I act tough, but deep down, I regret canceling my own daughter's wedding. Writing this out has eased my heart, even though I have no clue why I'm posting here. Update 1. Thank you all for your kind support. I never expected my actions to receive such praise. I feared I'd be seen as a fool for taking such a firm stand against my own daughter. Some of you asked about Ava's long-standing resentment toward us. Sorry for skipping that earlier. Here's the full story. I didn't know how this platform worked at first. My second wife is Mercy, 45 years old. Ava is my child from my first marriage. When Ava was 7, I divorced her mother, my first wife. Ava's mother left me for another man after finding someone else. I got custody of Ava because they were moving to Europe and didn't want her. When Ava was 13, I remarried Mercy, and ever since, Mercy and I have faced Ava's fury. Mercy is the main target of her deep hatred. It made sense during her teen years. It must have been tough seeing someone replace her mother. Mercy, a certified child counselor and educator, assured me Ava would come around as an adult. She believed Ava would eventually see me as more than just her dad. She would recognize me as a man who needed a partner. 5 years after the divorce, I remarried hoping Ava would appreciate that I'd raised her alone for those 5 years. Ava was rejected by both her mother and her new husband. Sadly, Ava showed zero appreciation. Instead, she grew more hostile toward Mercy and me. Things got so bad that, hoping Ava would find companionship there, I had to send her to live with my sister, who had a daughter her age. After a few months of calm, my sister gave up less than a year later. Since it was their final year of school, my sister didn't want her daughter's performance to suffer from the constant bickering between Ava and her daughter. That's what she told me. I had to bring Ava back as a result. Ava stayed with us until high school graduation, though she spent breaks with my parents. She eventually announced she'd finish high school living with them and refused to come home. I arranged carpools since my parents' home was far from her school. As long as she was happy and calm, that setup worked. But her high school report card was disastrous when it came out. That's when I learned she'd fallen in with the wrong group, kids doing drugs. She wanted to stay with my parents because of a toxic boyfriend. After they slept, she'd sneak out and roam the city until past midnight. She had to repeat her senior year. Another ordeal was getting her through college. She wouldn't have gotten into anywhere else with her poor grades and gloomy demeanor, so thank goodness I had connections who secured her a spot at a solid college. Once again, she hung out with the bad crowd and did drugs in college. Things spiraled so far she needed rehab. She finally graduated at 25 but relapsed the next year, so I sent her back to treatment for months. She really has been a nightmare, so calling her that isn't unfair. She's constantly brought me stress, shame, and sorrow. I'm so thankful for Mercy, my patient wife. Any other woman might have convinced me to abandon Ava, but Mercy kept urging me to hold on. Mercy has sacrificed so much for Ava and me, and I'm deeply grateful. Ava's biggest grudge seems to be that I remarried, especially to Mercy. Mercy isn't Native American. Her family hails from the Middle East. Her parents, immigrants to the U.S., couldn't support their 5 kids, so she grew up in an NGO. They arrived in the U.S. with nothing after escaping a war zone. That's what drew me to Mercy. Despite a tough childhood and no money, she pushed through, earned a master's degree, landed a high-paying teaching job, and built a great life. Despite being a self-made success, Ava calls her a gold digger. Yes, we have generational wealth from my family's 2-generation export business. Since this is my second marriage and her first, Ava thinks Mercy wed me for the money. Ava claims that without the cash, Mercy wouldn't marry a single dad 12 years older. Mercy is 45 and I'm 57. I don't know who planted these ideas in Ava, but that's why she labels Mercy a gold digger. A few of you also wondered if Ava's mother was involved. Actually, she hasn't contacted Ava or me since the divorce. Last I heard, she was in Germany. As for the current mess, Ava tried venting her anger by reaching out after I canceled her wedding, but I blocked her on every channel. When I canceled, my parents were upset and offered to pay if Ava wanted to reschedule. But Ava turned on them, accusing them of backing me. She even used foul language, kicked them out of her house, and told them never to return. Though her teacher, who went to the same gym as me, discovered her high school drug use, she blames them for it. After that, my parents changed their minds and supported my decision to cancel the wedding. I can't let Ava think she can keep hurting us at will. I still haven't heard from her, so I have no idea what she's doing. 10 days after her supposed wedding day, my parents visited her 2 days ago. They confirmed she's still not married. They're likely planning a new date or just haven't proceeded. Oh, and I blocked the credit card she had access to for purchases. She hadn't used it much since getting her job. She'll probably be furious about this, but I don't care anymore. I feel no guilt now that I know how she treated my parents. They've always loved and shielded her, and they're in their late 70s. It was right to cut Ava off. Although it's been over a year since my last update on this thread, I've stayed in touch with everyone who messaged me or commented. A few weeks later, I found out Ava had wed her fiancé in a private ceremony with just their closest friends. I wished her well in life and was happy for her. I had no social media ties to her, so I was clueless about her life. My niece told me Ava updated her Facebook status to show she and her husband moved to a nearby city. Before I got a call from an unknown number a week ago, everything in my life was smooth. It was Matt, Ava's husband. I panicked, thinking something bad had happened to her. He surprised me by saying she wanted to meet me in person, but assured me she was fine. He said he'd explain during the meeting when I asked why. He suggested dinner since he was in town. In my heart, I hoped this was a chance to reconcile with Ava. I thought Matt was mediating and she might be too ashamed to reach out directly. I met him full of hope, but to my dismay, Matt came alone. He said he didn't know where Ava was when I asked about her. With a heavy heart, I pressed for her location. Then he revealed they were separated. Matt explained that Ava had been abusive during their marriage and struggled badly with anger control. She'd throw things and break furniture even over minor disputes. He tolerated it as long as he could, but it became unbearable, and they parted ways. Matt went on to say Ava had deep mental health issues and always blamed others for her troubles. Since they moved to a new city for his job, she and he fought a lot. Ava resented him for taking her away from her hometown, even though she found a similar well-paid job there. That was just one of their many issues. Matt said he wanted to apologize in person. He admitted he'd seen Ava mistreat me, Mercy, and my parents cruelly, but he stayed out of it because Ava had turned him against us all. He regretted ignoring the red flags and putting himself through pain. I told him Ava was at fault, and he wasn't. I admitted I felt partly responsible for not raising her better. I also apologized to him for what he'd gone through with Ava. Then Matt asked me for a favor. He said Ava was begging him to take her back since the breakup devastated her. But after her abuse, he'd lost all feelings for her. Still, he wished her well and asked if I could support her during this rough time. Because of her temper, Ava had lost all her real friends, and Matt thought I could help by getting her into therapy. I told him that while I wanted to, Ava wouldn't let me near her. He understood, and we both agreed we'd help Ava if she'd allow it. After that conversation, I decided to visit Ava. Sadly, it didn't go well. She lashed out at me, but I'd come alone so Mercy wouldn't witness Ava's rage. I apologized to calm her down. Right or wrong didn't matter to me then. I just wanted to help her. I suggested she start therapy first, but otherwise, she could vent whatever she wanted about me. Ava ignored me and dredged up the past. She yelled that she wanted to kill Mercy because she hated her so much. She admitted she was ashamed of our marriage and embarrassed to present Mercy as her stepmother, which is why she'd banned us from her wedding. She kicked me out of the house when I tried reasoning with her, blaming me for all her problems. To be honest, I don't care anymore, and I'm unsure if I was right or wrong. I don't know how to help her, but all I want is for her to heal. Update 3. Thank you all for your kind support. When I posted the last update, I was really distraught, and this community has truly helped me unwind. Mercy suggested I contact Ava's closest friend from school. We knew each other well since her family lived next door. I messaged her on social media to explain everything because she now lives in South Africa. Since she was the only one Ava never clashed with, I asked her to reach out to Ava, hoping she could break through. Her friend agreed to help, and fortunately, she succeeded. Ava agreed to therapy, and I believe it's going well because she visited my parents a week ago and apologized for her behavior. She admitted her hatred had grown so intense she could no longer control it. She still blames me for everything, though, and said she'd never forgive me. I hold no grudges against her anymore. Even though I'm not part of it, I just hope she finds happiness. Thank you for your support, everyone. I truly hope no father ever faces such intense hatred from their own child. Thank you sincerely for reading to the end. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you truly enjoy our videos. Have a wonderful day.